I don't know how much your attorney has explained to you already, but this is an interview that...
We are watching an interview about a tragic loss.
So all we're asking of you is just to go through your day, and we'll get into that.
The police are using a soft, friendly tone to make Lily feel safe.
Related to a crime, okay? So we are...
Notice how she focuses on small details like chicken nuggets and recipes. This is common when someone is trying to sound normal under pressure.
Taking the time to talk to us, okay?
We started dinner. Pete had a recipe for chicken, and so we made some chicken, had dinner. Dominic, I believe, was back in his pack and play. I made dinner for Lucas, which he's a very picky eater. He had chicken nuggets, and I tried to push the Brussels sprouts.
Oh man,
that's going to be a little while longer.
I just put something green on his plate, and
good effort.
He always turns it down. So, and I don't think he even wanted his chicken nuggets that night. So. But that's not unusual for him. It's hit or miss, really. So we had dinner together. Pete left for band practice. He took Lucas outside to swing before we sat down and ate. So just after we had dinner, he was taking off for band practice between 7:15. Dominic seemed like he was getting a little hungry again. He was growing so fast. He was going between 5 and 7 ounces, and so I It's
a haunting end to a case filled with gaps and contradictions. In the end, the medical evidence tells a story she simply can't explain.
Next to his napper, kind of sitting up and watching Lucas. Lucas had a little more TV. Sorry.
It's okay, you're doing a great job.
Did I give him a bath? No, I don't think so. He had more TV. I put him down in his bassinet in the room. The door open. I went back to Lucas and changed his diaper, put him in his pajamas, put on his relaxing fishes again. He seems to only rest if I sit with him, so I was sitting on the couch with him probably 20 minutes. It was just before 9:30. I went back in the room to see if Dominic had fallen asleep. Sometimes he will just lay there. There was a box on his bassinet that he likes to just kind of look at, but when I went back, he wasn't breathing. His lips were blue. I scooped him picked him up out of the bassinet. I don't have much light in my room. Went into the kids' room directly across the hall, put him on his changing table, immediately noticed he's unresponsive. I could not find my cell phone in a hurry. I knew I would need an ambulance. I'm a nurse. I would have immediately called 911 on speakerphone and initiated CPR. I panicked. Randomly.
Lily mentions she is a nurse, which is a major detail.
Her husband drives an ambulance for...
The police will now wonder why a medical professional didn't start CPR sooner.
We laid Dominic down in the garage, initiated CPR.
She starts talking about a past injury to the baby's leg.
He was full of, I don't know, it was brown. He was very junky. There was brown liquid coming out of his mouth.
She is essentially giving the police a history of accidents in the house.
I can't recollect him being taken by the ambulance, but I know that is what happened up until that point. When I came back from Tampa General, I noticed on his bassinet sheet where his head was a brown stain similar to...
Similar to what you described earlier, that purge or whatever that you said you saw earlier from him?
And it made me wonder, did he vomit when he was laying down?
Seems fair to say that Lucas was not an aggressive boy by any means.
Not at all.
Maybe a little attention deficit, but not really an aggressive boy.
No.
Okay.
Sweet boy.
So I understand about after 3 weeks, when Dominic was 3 weeks old, something happened with his leg. Can you describe what happened to us?
Sure. I had just fed Dominic. We have a rocker, recliner, lazy boy chair in our living room next to Lucas's little kid table. I was burping Dominic. I had him sitting up on this knee, and I had one hand patting his back and the other hand on his chest. On this side of the chair is the lever to recline it. Lucas liked to mess around. He would stand up on it and kind of jump on it.
He was a
boy.
boy.
Yeah.
Big brother.
When this happened, he was standing on the lever, and he put his foot back to try to balance on the chair of the kids' table, and that started to lean back. He lost his balance, and he reached out and grabbed this hand that I had on Dominic's chest. Couldn't get it back from him in time to stop Dominic from falling. Dominic fell, and his right leg was tucked behind him. I didn't initially think that he was seriously injured at all, but I took him to the changing table, and it was clear that one leg he was moving and the other leg was, I don't want to say floppy, but he wasn't able to move it, and when I touched it, he was crying, he was in pain. They did x-rays, told me that he had a fracture, and I rode with him in the ambulance to All Children's Hospital, where we stayed for a few days.
Really?
Yeah.
They didn't have to put a cast or anything?
At Doctor's Hospital ER, they did.
Like a temporary?
Yeah, they did, and they had me hold it for
just keep it
while it
stationary.
hardened. Yeah, it was just a hard cast, which they took off at All Children's.
Just before we get far away from it, you had described up to it what had happened. What happened? I mean, he's here, and you got pulled off, so Dominic would have fallen, I'm assuming, like between your legs, onto the floor? Or?
Did he fall down onto the floor, or did he fall into the chair and then the floor, or just straight down?
He did a back tumble, and his head was on my foot. I remember that. And I had tried to stop him from falling, but he had Chanel's socks on, and I ended up just being able to grab the sock.
Oh, so you grabbed at and grabbed the sock. That was sock, basically, so not his leg?
Right.
All right, because that's what I'm trying to get the mental picture.
I couldn't.
So you had to pick him. Then you had to pick him up.
I picked him up immediately and took him to the changing table.
So the fracture, whatever.
Would be cause for concern that could have potentially injured him? Anything that you can think of?
It's what, a 8 or 9 week period?
Yeah.
Is that right? As far as the math? So yeah, any kind of trauma, or anything with him. So he was healthy, wasn't.
He was totally normal on Monday, I think being that he was normal on Monday, I don't know if there's any indication that the injury happened before.
We're even going all the way back though. If from the leg thing, if there was any kind of accident or anything that happened that you recall.
No.
Okay.
Any oopsies or falls or.
Did they X-ray his head or do an MRI or anything of his head when he broke his leg? Yes.
Yeah.
So they do the full body, especially they're so tiny.
Well, that'd be good for comparison.
But nothing you remember, no trauma or anything else. He was happy, healthy.
One thing that I think is noteworthy is that CPR was done on the garage floor, on the concrete garage floor.
Okay.
I think that's noteworthy.
Here is the first big problem in her story.
And then was put on the garage floor for CPR. That could have caused the injury.
Is that what you recall?
Lily says she did CPR on the garage floor.
Their garage. I think it was the garage.
But the police have already talked to the neighbors and the aunts.
I wasn't there.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what I'm under the impression. But you were in the garage at one.
Their stories don't match hers, and the police are starting to close in.
Not performed until the baby got into the bedroom.
Okay. And I don't recall.
And that's totally
part
okay.
of it,
Yeah,
or-
absolutely.
or the
That's for us to figure out for sure.
Okay.
Do you recall at any point attempting CPR? I know you said that you're a nurse, so did you at any point attempt CPR prior to going outside and meeting with your neighbor?
No.
Okay.
No, I knew I would need an ambulance, and I didn't have my phone, and
Sure.
I just.
Natural panic. I
Yeah.
mean, no one's going to question that. I mean, that's.
Do you have any concerns that Pete would have done something to Dominic that he
None
would be too
whatsoever.
embarrassed to tell you about?
No
or
way.
Okay.
Not even if it's
whatsoever.
accidental. Like,
No.
No
No.
concerns whatsoever. Any family members, friends, anybody that you'd be like,
No.
this person's not good with kids or whatever. Lily, we've got some unexplained injuries to Dominic's head. And I know that
The friendly interview is over.
they had told you Dominic had some head trauma. So you were kind of aware of that already.
Yes.
So we were able to look
The investigators reveal there are multiple injuries to the back of the head.
to explain how Dominic got those injuries. And this is that opportunity for you to do that.
They start listing all the stress she was under her sister's death and postpartum depression.
Like, I know that in the hospital they were notified about a skeletal or a skull fracture.
Yes.
Not numerous injuries.
There are numerous.
They are giving her an emotional out, hoping she will admit she just snapped.
Care and custody. I mean, we've established, at least with speaking everyone, that, you were the last one with Dominic. You know what I mean? That's, we all understand that.
Right.
In the limited time, that Peter was there was no accidental drops or any, inflicted damage, what have you. He left, as you even described it, the smiley, happy face. He was fine.
That's, Peter left and he was smiley, happy, you described that, you know, everything seemed okay. And then there's kind of that interim from when, after Peter left to when you went to your neighbor's house. That's that time period that needs a little bit more explanation. And I'd really like to give you that opportunity now to, if there's anything that you can think of that you'd like to talk about, now would be the time to do so.
I understand that. There was nothing out of the ordinary during that time.
And I want to be frank with you, Lily. I can understand all of the stress that you were going through. I can't even imagine for 2 seconds being in your shoes with the amount of stress. We talked to Peter's parents, we talked to your mom. Haven't been able to talk to your dad yet, but even Peter's parents straight up said that Peter is not as involved as they want him to be. So you're taking care of everything. You're taking care of 2 kids, 1 brand new baby, the loss of your sister, trying to incorporate work, and being a full-time mom. I can't imagine. And I want to express to you that I empathize with you, and I know my partner does, and everyone can empathize with you for everything that you were going through. However, there are these unexplained injuries, and they need an explanation. Otherwise, the answers that we get will be strictly based on the evidence that we see. So we're going to draw those conclusions. And without an explanation, that's what we have.
An explanation as well.
I mean, there are injuries and there's like a 2-hour gap of time, right?
Or 3.
Yeah,
Something.
2 to 4, we'll say.
Gap of time when?
Between when Peter left and when the paramedics were called.
7:30 to 9:30.
It was about 3 hours.
Other than that, there's no other evidence, right? I'm sorry. I mean, that's it.
That's what we're saying. She's the only one that
That's
can
it.
answer.
She's the only one that can answer
So,
to.
I mean, what if she can't? And
These injuries were inflicted.
The injuries were inflicted, and they were inflicted within that time period.
see, we don't know that, and you guys know we have been here. I have been
Absolutely.
readily cooperative.
Oh,
with you.
absolutely, no question. That's why
Because we want these same answers. We don't have these answers, and if we did, Peter and Lily would have provided them. Their stories have been consistent all the while, and I mean, the one thing is that Lily said, I put him in pajamas, and I didn't. I actually swaddled him, and so we want to clarify that today. That's the only discrepancy that I've been aware of, being frank with you guys as counsel, even privileged and confidential information. So, I mean, I know your position, I know my position. There is a gap here that I'm not sure can be filled, because Lily does not have this information. She has no pattern, obviously, of inflicting injuries upon a child. There was no accident that occurred there that she is aware of, except for, the dog maybe, or the leg break, if this happened historically. We just...
Understood. We've ruled that out. So the injuries that happened they happened that night. They happened within the time period that Dominic was in Lily's care. We've established that. We know that. For a fact.
Medically, that's what the doctors
For a fact.
determined.
And we're waiting on another injury that did happen prior at some point.
So
Definitive.
beyond the femur fracture, we have additional injuries to the child that were unexplained from the time period of the fracture to the night of November 8th.
Like what additional injuries?
Head trauma. The only other alternative is that you don't want to tell us what happened. And I can understand if something happened that you don't want to talk about, but we are here and your son is dead. And there is a reason for it.
You're saying he had other head injuries that were older than that time?
To potentially show some kind of history, something.
Like I said before when going over the CPR, I do believe it's a matter of so much shock and trauma that I had trouble remembering going to Sarasota Memorial with him. But I've racked my brain over and only recall what I've told you, that he was sleepy. I tried to feed him. I did swaddle him, but I can't recall anything that would have...
It would have been in the hours leading up to putting him down. We know that. So
Okay.
that's why we're looking at you for the answers, because we know that that's the gap that we're dealing with.
I'm just finding this hard to believe it.
It's more the period of time after Peter left for band practice.
I understand that.
That's kind of the time in question.
I understand that.
Because we've determined, been talking with you and talking with Peter, nothing happened in that short period of time that he was home for dinner and before he left to explain any injuries. So, and there's a potential that could have maybe been inflicted just prior to him getting home. But it's definitely in that window.
His
You know what I'm
behavior.
saying? I mean,
His behavior, though, that Peter noticed when he was home, I think would have ruled out it happening prior.
That's what we think.
Unless
That's what
it
I'm
was
saying.
substantially prior. Unless these were historical injuries or
yeah, no.
disorder or, you know.
Yeah, and this wasn't the case. Like Sarah was explaining to you, we can rule out, because I know you had certain concerns of maybe what could have caused his death. And
I think at one point you had said, CPR perhaps on the garage floor. CPR was not on the garage floor. CPR was conducted from we talked to all the EMTs, the neighbors, everybody. It was conducted in a proper way. No, the baby was not dropped in any way that could have caused these injuries. This happened while the baby was in your care.
you were worried
Didn't
about,
aspirate.
Yep, no aspiration. That
No
wasn't
suffocation. He didn't choke on the formula. That was not the reason why he died.
Those things have been ruled out.
So the last time that we had spoke, you said that the brown liquid, when you got back from Tampa General Hospital, was in the bassinet, on the
Right.
sheets of the bassinet. Pictures were taken from the deputies that were in your house, and the brown liquid was not in the bassinet. It was on the pillowcase.
This is a huge forensic
There's
discovery.
photo evidence of that.
I have his bassinet sheet and a blanket that's how
Lily said the baby got
But
sick
brown
in the
liquid
bassinet.
still- I mean, that's not the reason why he died. That was probably.
But police photos show the brown liquid was actually on her own pillow.
I can't say that, but I can say that was not the cause of the death. I think any mother.
This suggests the baby was in her bed, not the bassinet, when the tragedy happened.
I've got a coworker who sits right across from me that's got a young child, and she's got a second one on the way. And she's like, I can empathize with just losing your just straight up losing it. And then to top it off, your sister died. You're drinking.
A husband that's not judging him. He's working full time, and he's
Trying to
but
provide.
not as attentive, even based on his own family, as he maybe could or should be. He's learning the father role, but that
And
puts
your
it on you.
2-year-old that, has maybe got some developmental delays. He's not quite up to par with maybe some other 2-year-olds. And then brand new baby to add to the equation.
During a time that you haven't even dealt with the loss of your sister. You weren't even really able to fully enjoy the birth of your new baby because you're in depression and grief over losing your sister.
And even your mom, she straight up was like, I think Lily was suffering from postpartum. And even you said that, I think I may have been. And I think that's a reasonable conclusion based off of everything. But if it was a matter of just losing it for 1 second, then that's what happened. But that's something that we don't know unless you tell us. We have to draw that conclusion based off of the evidence that's provided, the medical evidence that's provided.
If it is, a definite fact that something would have had to have happened in that time, and I can't.
Lily faced the full weight of the law, charged with first-degree murder and aggravated child abuse. The court rejected her repressed memory defense, citing forensic proof of blunt force trauma. In 2021, she was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility